All right, so what is a device sync policy? At its core, all this does is control how information about your library is stored on each one of your devices. So this is a specific function of Mylio Photos Plus. If you are a paid subscriber of Mylio Photos, you have Mylio Photos Plus, this applies to you. If you're using the free version of Mylio Photos, this is something you might be interested in upgrading for. So you can have all of your devices connected to your Mylio account, and with the Mylio Photos Plus subscription, all of those devices can sync together, and a sync policy determines what's stored on each device. So it controls the amount of space that Mylio Photos Plus uses and the photo quality that's available on each device. By photo quality, I mean, is it going to be just a thumbnail, which is really tiny, takes up the minimum amount of space, one of those awesome optimized images that's about 5% the size of the original, or your full quality file. So depending on your sync policy, that controls which device has that quality of media. So let's jump over into the sync panel really quick. And I'm going to go over here to the left sidebar, click on that dashboard icon. There we go. And then into devices. So here you see all of my devices. And I can click on, say, this computer that I'm using here and go into device sync policies. And we have several presets that are built into Mylio Photos. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how to create custom ones for certain scenarios. But let's go over first these presets, because for most people, these presets are going to do most of what you need. So if you go in here and you take a look at preset and click this drop down, you have several options here. So the first one here is catalog. This is going to take up the least amount of space, and this is just your thumbnails and metadata. It'll help you if like your catalog becomes corrupted and you need to rebuild it. This catalog only can help you do that. And it just synchronizes that metadata, but it's the really, really small quality versions of your photos. So if your device only has catalog and you're completely off the grid and you don't have a vault with you, you're only going to be able to see those really, really tiny small files. It's not going to be terribly useful. You can still work with your metadata. You can still add that kind of information, but it's going to be pretty limited. In order to work with those images, you're probably going to want to have access to an optimized or an original quality, which means you need to be connected to a drive that has that, or have access to a cloud service where those things are stored. So catalog is really the bare minimum for any device. Highest rated. This one's really cool because this will sync all of your media that has a 4-star rating, 5-star rating, or a pick flag. So you can say, I want to have everything else at minimum quality, but everything that is my 4 stars, 5 stars, and picks, I want those at full quality, or I want all of those as optimized images. So that's really, really cool. All right, so the next one down, we've got photos only. So most of you know Mylio Photos can hold photos, videos, and documents. Now, there's a lot of different reasons why you might want to choose to have only your photos with you. So like, for instance, if you have a cloud service and you just want to back up your photos to the cloud, save some space, you don't want your documents, you don't want your videos going up there, videos take up a ton of space, and you're trying to kind of moderate how much stuff is being stored in that location, photos only might be a great option. Space Saver is the default, and that does some automatic things in the background to make sure it's making the best use of the space, and it's going to prioritize those optimized images and make sure as many of those as possible are available. And then we can go down here to Travel Backup, which keeps all of your originals with you from your last 3 months. And then finally a Vault, which is a device that's designated to hold everything. That holds your original quality files, it holds all your metadata, it holds the catalog, everything about your Mylio Photos library is contained in that vault. And that's why we recommend you have at least 2 of those, because if one of them fails, you can always rebuild from the other. So those are the presets that are built in, and those are very, very useful for many, many things. And so when you go in and set a device sync policy, right now I'm on my Mac and I have it set to Space Saver. That little asterisk right there means I have a few folders down here that are exceptions. They're overriding the current policy. So I have different policies set for just those specific folders, which is totally possible. Then I can go in here and I can set originals separately from optimized. So you can see for Space Saver, originals has, excuse me, everything and documents that are less than 5 megabytes. And if I jump over here to optimize, it's really prioritizing those 4 and 5 star and picks. It's automatically managing my space. So it's going to fit as many of my images in optimized form as possible on this device. and it's going to keep documents that are smaller than 5 megabytes on this device. So that's what happens with Space Saver. And each of these is a little bit different. You can click on them and see exactly what it's doing. The next thing you can do is you can start to customize these things. So I can have Space Saver set, and then I can set image policies specifically down here and add to these. So I can go in here and add a quick collections for things that I want optimized and start picking from these quick collections. So before I go too much further there, let's back up a little bit and do a quick refresh on using quick filters and quick collections. So if you recall, if you've been coming to these coffee breaks for a while, the series that we've been working on, we've gone through a lot of the core things you'll need to know to build these custom sync policies. So if we open up that sidebar, here we have our quick filters. Now, when you're using quick filters, there are some of these work with quick collections that can be used as sync policies. Some of them do not. So I've got my list here. And when you're building a quick collection to use as a sync policy, you can use it for folders, files, by date, categories, ratings, labels, and flags. All of the other ones are coming soon, stuff that we're working on. We expect to have those available in the next few releases. But for right now, those policies can include folders, by files, dates, categories, and ratings. So let's go ahead and make a couple of quick collections here that we can apply to different devices that we have as custom sync policies. So the first one I want to do is I want everything in my 2023 folder, which is my most recent work, to be in full quality available on my laptop and on my iPad. So what I want to do is go down here to by folder and into my photos folder, and I can choose this 2023 folder. I'm going to go ahead and pin that. You'll see that I have the filter applied. So now I'm only seeing my 2023 pictures from this folder, and I'm going to save that as a new quick collection. So let's just go ahead and put that as 2023 and click save. And I now have a 2023 quick collection. If I jump back over here to my dashboard into devices here on my Mac, I can go over here to my Mylio Mac all the way over here. So device sync policies, and I want to choose this originals tab. So I'm going to be making a change to which originals are stored on this machine. I'm going to click on add quick collection and grab that 2023 quick collection and choose add. And now every picture in my 2023 folder is going to be stored in original quality on this Mac. That means that when I'm offline, let's say I take my computer down to the local coffee house, but I don't want to use their Wi-Fi, I want to just work completely offline, I have all of those images in full quality available to me on this computer. So that's pretty cool. Now I also want to do this for my iPad. So I'm going to go down here to my iPad. And again, this is offline right now, but I can bring it online if I want to. But go here into device sync policies. And I actually even haven't set a preset for this one yet. So I'm going to go ahead and choose preset and Space Saver. That opens up these customizations for me. And I can go down here to originals, add a quick collection, choose 2023 and add. Now I want to have also these 2023 images available on my iPhone, but I don't need to have them in the full original quality. But I do want to make sure they're available as optimized. So if I go and get on a plane and I'm in airplane mode, I have those full quality, or I have those optimized images at the very least that I can work with. So again, I can go over here to my iPhone, device sync policies. And instead of being here under originals, I'm going to go to optimized, add that quick collection in 2023. And now all of my 2023 folder photos will be available to me in optimized form on my iPhone. Does that make sense to everybody? Are we tracking? Everybody good? It's a lot to cover in one place. All right, so let's do another example.
Let me ask you this.
Go for it.
On your Mac,
Mm-hmm.
is your Mac connected as well to your vault down there?
It is. So I do have vaults connected right now, but if I were to take the laptop and go work somewhere else, that 2023 folder now lives in full quality on my Mac.
I got it. So that Mac is a laptop.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Now I was wondering if it was a desktop and your vault was attached to it, what sort of a policy would you put on it?
So in that case, I probably would keep it at the default with Space Saver, or if your desktop computer was limited on storage space, you could put it as catalog. And if that vault was always connected, it would always have access to those optimized and original images.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Angela,
Yep.
Larry's asking, if we edit a photo, will we edit the original no matter what the sync setting is that we're using?
So if you're editing inside of Mylio Photos, those edits will sync across to every device when those devices come back online. If you're editing in an external editor on a computer, and as long as you save that edit back to the same folder where that original resides, the next time everything's synced up, Mylio will sync that changed file or that new file, that edited file, to all of your other devices. You don't have to do anything else. Now, the one caveat is if you're on a mobile device and you decide to take a picture from Mylio and you edit it in, let's say, Lightroom Mobile, what you need to do is then export that back to Mylio. So you go into the share settings in Lightroom and tell it to save it back to Mylio, and that will put it into the Mylio inbox. So if I just pop back over here to my folders, we have this Mylio inbox folder. When you send something from any app on a mobile device back to Mylio in the share sheet, it pops it here into the Mylio inbox. It's also a great place if you're on a computer and maybe you don't know where that folder is that things were originally saved to. Let me go ahead and just pull this up. Whether you're on Mac or Windows, over here in your favorites, you're going to have a Mylio inbox. That is that exact same folder. So you can easily save to the Mylio inbox. That quickly gets it back into Mylio, and then you can move it or reorganize it from there if you want to. But once something's in Mylio, whether it's on your computer, your iPhone, tablet, whatever, once those things are reconnected, and you can see if they're connected either in the devices panel or over here in the sync panel, you can tell which ones are on and connected. Once those things are on and connected, Mylio will do the syncing for you. You don't have to move things around on your own. Makes it very, very easy.
Did we explain at the beginning that this is for the Mylio Photos Plus plan?
Yes.
Versus the, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. And so just to reiterate that, we have two plans for Mylio Photos. We have Mylio Photos, which is free, and we have Mylio Photos Plus. What we're talking about today is for Mylio Photos Plus users. So if you have the free version, this might be something that is worth upgrading for. And if you have questions about that, please feel free to ask. If you have a paid subscription, this is a change. These different plans just happened very recently. So if you're currently a paid subscriber, you have Mylio Photos Plus.
What I was really wondering is, will you be editing the original? In other words, if you have your sync set to catalog, if you start editing, does it get a copy of the original to edit? Is that how it works?
So it'll pull a copy local temporarily for you to work on. And so the way that works is Mylio doesn't think of like you have one single original file. There's no like one source original. You have original quality, which are your original untouched images. And then you have optimized images and thumbnails. When you edit in Mylio Photos, it's completely non-destructive. It does not touch those original quality files. That information is saved in the metadata. So your originals are always preserved. And the way it works with having vaults or any drive that holds original quality files, those are still original quality no matter which drive or device that they're on. There's no like one master copy of a vault or an original file, because all original files are created equal. They're all the same.
Okay.
Makes sense? If I can clarify further, please let me know. It might be a hard concept to wrap your head around.
Now, if you're using Google Drive, you don't see a window in that. What kind of a preset do you use for that?
So with Google Drive, so let me go ahead and scroll down here to my drives and devices. I have Backblaze as my cloud device, and you can see that I have that set as a vault, which means it stores everything in my entire library. I can go in here, and it really depends on how much available space you have and what space that you want to use. So if you have Google Drive, I believe the maximum you could store on Google Drive is 2 terabytes. If you are a paying subscriber to Google Drive and you're paying for storage space and have that maximum amount, and your library is less than 2 terabytes, you can make Google Drive a vault. If your entire library takes up more than 2 terabytes, you cannot use Google Drive as a vault. In that case, what you can do is use it to help facilitate syncing. And that's where having everything as optimized images on Google Drive can be very helpful. So you might want to choose Space Saver, and then under so you choose space. Let me see. I don't want to necessarily change this on mine. I don't want to change that. Let me do this. We go to this drive here. Same principle. We can change this to Space Saver and then go over here to optimize. And we can go here to add quick collection and say we want to have everything as optimized. We can either choose everything or we can choose just photos. And that's how I would use if you have limited space on a cloud service. And that'll help facilitate syncing and make sure that you're able to access all of your optimized files, no matter where you are, if you have an internet connection.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions.
Angela, there's a question about Backblaze in the chat
Sure.
as well.
Let me go ahead and pull up the chat and take a look. All right, how to engage Backblaze as a backup. All right, so this is a very good question. There are two different flavors of Backblaze. There is Backblaze that you can use to back up your entire system, and there's Backblaze that you can use as an S3 storage. So the Backblaze S3 storage is called Backblaze B2, and it is a separate pricing structure from the Backblaze backup that backs up your entire computer. The Backblaze backup that's backing up your entire computer, all of your Mylio files are actually included with that. It'll be a little bit harder to rebuild than having a separate vault, but you conceivably could do that because all of your pictures, all of your metadata is still being backed up in that cloud backup. If you want to use it as a vault, what you'll need to do is sign up for their Backblaze B2 service. And then we have instructions in the manual for how to implement that. And then it will show up as a separate device here. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. So let me go ahead and give a couple more examples of how you can use these custom device sync policies. So I'm going to, before I go out of this, let's see, that's fine. I'll leave that alone. All right. So I want to make sure I didn't change any of my settings and mess up my own setup. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out this filter. And another cool way to do this is with categories. Now, categories can create sort of workspaces for you. I'm going to close this up and go down to by category. And in Mylio Photos, I think you can have, I think there's 50 maximum categories. 3 or 4 of them are locked, meaning you can't change them, but the rest are all editable. You can change the names, you can put in your own. Most of these are ones that came pre-installed in Mylio. And you can see I've added a couple of extra ones here just for my own personal use. So let's say you have your maybe a photographer who you have your own pictures, your personal images in Mylio, and then you have photo shoots for other people that you have also in your Mylio library, and you want to easily be able to see certain ones on certain machines. So in this scenario, let's say we have a computer that you use primarily for work. You almost never get into your personal images there. You might browse a little bit, but then you don't do anything as far as editing or anything, any heavy lifting there. So all you really want to do is have all of your work pictures in full quality on that machine. You can go through and you can mark individual pictures and folders of images with categories, which I've done quite a few. So I can go ahead and click on this work one. And I have things like from work trips, and then I also have things in here from photo shoots and all sorts of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and pin that particular category. And then I'm going to create a quick collection, and we're going to call this work photos and choose save. So this does a couple of things for me. That means I can quickly go in here and I can jump in a quick collection when I just want to view and work here on this machine. I can jump quickly to my work photos, and that gets me just to my photo shoots. Or I can create a specific device sync policy on a particular machine. So let me go ahead and back out of these. And just to see what we can do here, I'm going to go here to my other computer, and I'm going to choose a device sync policy here and say, I want for originals, I also want to have everything that are work photos on that particular computer. So again, if I go sit someplace disconnected from the internet, I have access to all of those images that are work photos in full quality. All right. So that's a really cool thing you can do. If you go through and you add a sync policy and you're like, wait a second, maybe I don't want to do that, or you've had it a certain way for a while and you decide, I need to make a change, all you have to do is come back in here and you click that X and you take that off of there. If syncing has already happened, what you can do is go back one level, and you have to do this from that device. So let me give the example here on my Mac. I can go into my device sync policies. Let's say I want to take off that 2023 folder. Some of that has already started syncing. I can go back here and I click clear cache, and it'll tell me how many cache images I can remove off this particular computer. Now, this is not deleting actual originals. This just means original quality. So it won't delete anything that isn't already backed up in 2 places. So if that original file doesn't exist in 2 other places, Mylio will not touch it. And same with the optimized. So I could go ahead and click yes, and that'll free up a ton of space on this computer. All right, and that has to be done. The clearing the cache has to be done from the device that you're currently using. So I can't clear the cache on my iPad or my iPhone from my computer. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and do one more. And I'm going to go ahead and clear out that filter right there. And in this one, I want to have all of my family photos that are flagged with a pick flag. So I'm going to go ahead and pin the family category. And then I'm going to go down to by rating, label, and flag. And I want everything that has a pick flag. So this whittles down the grouping to a much smaller group. I can then save that as, let's call that best family. And choose save. And I'm going to go then back to the dashboard. And I want to have those all on my iPhone. I don't necessarily need them all at original quality though. I just want them to optimize because those are my best favorite things about the things that are most precious to me. So I'm going to go over here to the device sync policies, jumped over here to optimized, and I'm going to, let's go ahead and remove 2023. And I'm going to go in here and I want to just add best family. Choose add. And now all of those in optimized quality will be available on my iPhone. As soon as I turn on my iPhone and start syncing, which I can actually do right now, so you can see that. Go ahead and turn that on. You'll see this light up here in just a second. There it goes. And now that sync is starting to happen. So when you change the sync settings for any device, especially if you're changing for another device that's offline, as soon as you turn it on and make it available and Mylio can see it, that sync process will start automatically. All right, let me jump over to the chat again and see what we've got going on here. Looks like Lori's done a great job of keeping track of the questions. Any other questions before we close for today? I know I threw a lot of information at you, but hopefully this clarified what you can do with these custom device sync policies and also how to use these presets. So you can set these presets for your devices in any way that you want that makes sense for you. All right. Feel free to unmute if you have any questions.
So getting back to the issue of I have a vault, a RAID array attached to my desktop.
Perfect.
And if I look under devices, I see my Mac Studio and I see the drive. But if I look under folders, all I see is the vault drive.
So that's because it's considered a Mylio library folder. If I jump over here into Mylio Mac and go into linked folders, these are the folders that are going to show up as Mylio library folders. Those will be at the top of the list in the folders view. This photos folder, the main copy of that, I have a handful of vaults, but the first copy I had of that is actually on a direct attached RAID drive as well. But it shows as a Mylio library folder because I told it to. What I can do with any of these folders that are associated with another device is I can click on that folder and I can say mark as library folder. That doesn't physically move it. It doesn't change your file system at all. It just changed where Mylio makes it display. So if I jump back over here to my folders view, you'll see that here's my Mylio Photos library. Up here at the top, these are all considered library folders. This particular folder in its full quality glory exists on all of my vaults. My Mylio inbox, that is available to me on all my devices. And this is bringing all my pictures from Apple Photos. I also have a couple of linked folders that are associated with specific drives. So for instance, one reason you might want to do that and not mark something as a library folder is these are both fast photo folders. So they're associated with my scanner. These are ones where both of my laptops drop in new pictures that I scan, and they're both named fast photo. If I marked both of these as library folders, Mylio would try to merge them because it doesn't know which one is which. And so I keep them associated with my Mylio Mac and my personal MacBook Pro. You can do the same thing with a pictures folder. So if you have a default pictures folder on multiple machines, this is a good way to see which one they're coming from. But you don't have to do that if they're uniquely named folders. A lot of times what people prefer to do is mark them as library folders, which moves them up here into this top level, which moves them only in Mylio. It does not move them in your file system. And it just makes it a little bit more cohesive of a view, a little bit more enjoyable rather than looking down through these other categories. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yes,
Awesome.
it does.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It also explains why I have an issue with fast photo, because I scanned them on my laptop and put them on my desktop.
There you go. So that is why I have two fast photo folders there. So I'm glad that made sense, because I'm actually in the process of doing a bit of refresh on the linked folders page in the manual. And it's a bit of a complicated, complex topic. And I'm really glad that I was able to explain it well, because that means hopefully the manual page will also be easy to understand.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope this has been enjoyable and informative. It's a complex topic, so if you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me in the community. I'm always happy to help. Lori as well. I want to thank Lori for joining us, helping out with the chat. That's been great. And we will see you at the next coffee break. Bye, everyone.